It was her first day, and within the first 10 minutes, someone had already thrown a spitball at her back. Miss Alina Khan stood frozen for a second, the classroom echoing with suppressed giggles. She turned slowly, eyes scanning the group of senior boys huddled in the back. They were watching her, not with curiosity, not even with contempt, but with amusement. Like she was some kind of entertainment. A game. A weak substitute until their real teacher came back. She took a breath, steady and deep, as if it wasn't her first day in one of the roughest schools in the city. As if she hadn't fought for this job after being told she was too young or too soft to handle kids like these. As if the knot in her stomach wasn't tightening with every tick of the clock. The ringleader of the boys, tall, cocky, with an ever-present smirk, leaned back in his chair and clapped slowly. "Welcome to hell, Miss Khan." The rest of the class roared with laughter. But Alina didn't flinch. She gave him a look. Calm. Cool. Measured. And she smiled. Alina Khan had not always been calm. Just a few years ago, she was a completely different person. Shy. Timid. Broken, even. She had been bullied herself in high school, shoved into lockers, called names, made to eat alone in the cafeteria. Teachers turned a blind eye. And when she'd finally snapped and punched a girl in the hallway, she was the one suspended. Not the bullies. Not the ones who broke her spirit every single day. After that, something in her changed. She had spent years rebuilding herself. Therapy, books, confidence-building exercises, and secretly, she took up martial arts. Not for revenge, but for balance. For strength. For peace. Judo taught her discipline. Control. How to stand her ground, not just physically, but emotionally. She became a teacher not just to teach, but to protect. She never wanted another kid to feel what she once did. And now, here she was. Standing in a classroom full of mirrors from her past. The first week was brutal. The boys didn't stop. They mocked her accent. They mimicked her voice. One even locked the classroom door once and turned off the lights as the others jeered. Notes were passed. TikToks were made. New teacher meltdown incoming was trending on their private group chat. Alina never snapped. She never raised her voice. Instead, she learned their names. She studied their behavior. She noticed how Omar always showed off more when others were watching, clearly desperate for attention. How Timur kept his sleeves long, even in summer, maybe hiding bruises. How Denial never joined in the bullying, but laughed anyway, afraid of being next. She didn't fight back with punishments. She fought back with silence. With strength. With presence. But one day, things escalated. It was Friday. The class was wild from the start. Someone had slipped a rubber snake into her drawer. She didn't flinch. Then, during the lecture, Omar stood up and said, loud enough for the whole class to hear. "You think you're better than us, Miss Khan? Just 'cause you talk all proper and dress like some Netflix teacher?" The class roared again. Alina paused, slowly put down her marker, and stepped away from the board. Her eyes locked on Omar's. "No," she said, her voice even. "But I do think you're trying very hard to look strong." The laughter stopped. "What did you say?" Omar sneered, stepping forward. He was close now. Too close. "Just that I've seen stronger people," she said. "And they don't need to act like this." He shoved her. Gasps filled the classroom. But before anyone could process what was happening, before anyone could even blink, Omar was on the floor. Flat on his back. Miss Khan hadn't struck him hard. It was barely a flick of her wrist. A judo redirect. Clean. Controlled. She didn't even look angry. Omar groaned, completely stunned, struggling to understand how a woman half his size had floored him without breaking a sweat. Alina stepped back and looked at the rest of the class. The room was silent. "I didn't want it to come to this," she said. "But I need you to understand something. I don't want to hurt you. I want to help you. But I will protect myself. She looked at Omar. And I will protect anyone else you ever try to break. What happened next would be talked about for weeks. The boys, the same ones who laughed and mocked and made fun, fell quiet. A few of them came up after class, quietly apologizing. One even asked if she could teach them what that move was. But Alina didn't punish them. Instead, she sat them down the following Monday and said, "We're going to talk. Not about grades. About you. Your stories. Your fears. Your anger. All of it." It became a weekly thing. Soon, the classroom changed. Omar turned out to be a brilliant artist. Timur admitted to having a violent stepfather and was referred to a counselor. Denial started helping her grade papers. By the end of the semester, her class was one of the best in the school. Not because they suddenly became perfect, but because someone finally saw through their noise, their pain, their armor, and didn't break them down. She rebuilt them. And all it took was 60 seconds to flip the story. Inspiration. No matter how broken someone seems, there's always a story behind their actions. We all carry wounds, some visible, some hidden. But true strength isn't about throwing punches, it's about breaking cycles. Standing tall without hurting others. And sometimes, all it takes to begin the change is one person brave enough not to give up. Someone like Miss Alina Khan.